Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the program. Pato Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got Buddy Martin lined up for us, and then we'll have Buck Belue, former Georgia quarterback, the national championship team back in the day, will join us on the Titan MR hotline. Missed it last night. The Bears beat the Patriots in Monday Night Football, and the World Series cranks up. Astros, Phillies, starting on Friday. But let's head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by our good friend of the Buddy Martin Show. Buddy Martin, you're on the Titan MR hotline, buddy. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. How you doing this morning? Yeah, it's World Series week, and now we get into the series football. It's the Ides of Halloween coming up, and we know what that means. And the second half of the season, we'll see who can still be standing. That it is the survival of the fittest in the SEC, and I'm figuring out now who are the players, the teams are going to be there and who are not, as you are. And I have what I call, you know what the Mendoza line is in baseball?
Yeah.
The Mendoza line is the number where if you're any good at all, you hit above the Mendoza, supposedly named after a player, which is said to be around 200 or so. By the way, there were a number of teams, including the Rays and the Yankees, who didn't as a team hit 200 or better in terms of baseball. Football, it's changing, Shane. The landscape is changing at the top and bottom.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We got a couple. Joshua asked on Facebook Live, and buddy, I know you talked about this on your program last night. He says, how about the big-time O-lineman? They flipped from Florida State to the Gators.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that pickup? I mean, sure. I mean, you can only sign 25. People forget about that. So it's obviously somebody they wanted. And, you just got to trust that the guy's going to be a good player. You never know if they are or not. But, yeah, it's a good pickup. What do you know about him, buddy?
Well, not a whole lot, but I know that in talking to my guys in the show last night, we'll discuss it more tonight. Is that when you flip somebody, it's a double win for you. And they got the kid from Ohio State. I call him the John Mustard, but they got him earlier, and now they've got Kearney, who's said to be, a 6'5", 300-pound guy, could play offensive guard or tackle. I know in Billy's offense, he likes to put the guard, have the guard be a key to the blocking like he has with Osiris at the right guard position. This young man comes highly recommended. He's been committed to FSU now since last June, I believe. He's flipped over, and that means they've got two really good offensive linemen in that class. And so those are things that are trending upward at a time when you need things to be trending upward, if you get what I mean, because of what's coming to town in Jacksonville, in all likelihood not a win. And this program is kind of hang together with baling wire, and I think Billy is doing the right thing, saying the right thing, but in the end, you still got to get the W. So the recruiting part of that, which I don't follow that closely, and you don't, is certainly a big piece of it. Everybody knows Florida's got to get through the year and maintain and keep this class intact and recruit better to be at a level where they need to be to compete for the championship.
Yeah, buddy, do you know the answer to this? Joshua says he thought that this year there wasn't a cap to how many kids you can sign. I don't know how that would be possible.
No, I don't think it's true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still only 25 players each team.
Yeah.
And then we'll sign kids out of the portal for sure. But
right.
We're going to have kids leave the program. Okay, we've already had one.
Mm-hmm.
There will be more once the season's over. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, Shane, do you know something you're not telling us about?
No, I just know. It happens everywhere.
Mm.
Actually, every team loses players.
Yeah, and look at LSU, the players they brought in last year, man, the transfer portal really had made their team different completely.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and I like you said, I do not follow recruiting at all, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say we sign at least 10 kids out of the transfer portal.
Okay. That sounds reasonable to me.
And actually, I would like for it to be more, quite honestly, but I'm just going to stick at 10.
A lot of people think Billy should have gotten more last year. I understand the balance between players that you got. You don't want to have a mass execution and start running kids off right and left. It's bad for your reputation. And he's given them a chance, those who participated and went to class, and to come and play and graduate if they can. We just recently had that case with Joshua Braun, who graduates in December and has a year to play, and he goes with Billy's graces. So how do you negotiate the departure of some and the arrival of others? Do you do it just with a hatchet, or you do it gracefully and try to be human about it?
Well, in reality, in college football, you never cut kids or took their scholarship away.
Yeah,
Billy did that with a couple of kids there. Was it before spring or before the season? He took a couple away because that's just bad publicity and it hurts you in recruiting. So they probably in their exit meetings, you're going to sit down and say, you know what, Buddy Martin, we got 3 dudes that are a little bit better than you. If you want to stay here, that's great, but you're never going to play. Kind of give it to them that way, and then kind of help them go to the portal. Zach says, Shane, what is your answer in linebacker for next season going forward? Any portal guys to name or recruits that you can play right away? LSU's Perkins looks like the real deal. Yeah, Perkins is a good player. Zach, I don't know. I mean, we got to wait and see who goes into the portal. But I don't follow recruiting very closely. Obviously, I do know we're doing really well, and that's all that matters. Get them on my team, and then I'll care about them. Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor, Caldwell Banker, Emmett Parish, provide you fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Buddy Martin on the Titan MR Highline, we're going to go to the Titan MR text line. Daryl says, good morning, guys. I say leave the Florida-Georgia game in Jacksonville. Keep the tradition. I agree, but it ain't going to happen.
Well,
Especially
I'm right. Yeah,
if you still have that statement, I don't have the statement in front of me, buddy. But basically, both schools released a statement yesterday. It basically, in a roundabout way, in a nice way, said we ain't going back to Jacksonville. That's the way I read it.
I don't see it quite that way. I do have the statement. If you would like me to read it, I would challenge you to see whether or not you can actually understand it. But here it is. I'll just cut it down to the important part, the last part. We will consider a multitude of factors, including tradition, finances, future SEC scheduling models, with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, and what is best for both schools overall, programs overall. Now, okay, let me just say that says nothing, really, that we didn't know already. But I think what they're trying to say is we're working on this. We clearly know, and I've got on my show tomorrow night, Lauren Smith from the University of Georgia, a long time former SID and author and what have you, used to work on the radio broadcast. And he, he says it's much about helping out the citizens, the businessmen in Athens as it is recruiting, but that recruiting is the key thing. So look, I've said this before on your show, mine. I'll say it again. Are we going to let the decisions of a few 16, 17, 18-year-old kids determine that we don't need to have the game in one of the great venues in college football, because it's not just a football game? Tony Barnhart has been on your show many times. He'll be on mine again tomorrow night. He goes down with 4 buddies every year. He was covering the game forever. And he said, we're going to play golf. We're going to have dinner. We're going to have fun for all week long. And they stayed someplace on the first coast. He said, we may or may not go to the football game. So it's really sort of a celebration. It's a holiday. Bulldog fans love it more than Gator fans in terms of coming down and staying in Ponte Vedra or Fernandina Beach or Crescent Beach or wherever they may go. It's just they take the time off from work. They build in their vacations. I don't know why it is that Kirby is being such a hard ass about this, other than the fact he thinks it's not to his advantage to play the game there. There are 2 more years on the contract. There are going to be 2 other option years to be determined. Greg McGarity, by the way, the former AD of Georgia, is the guy running the thing in Jacksonville. I'll talk to Greg later this week, but in my opinion, it's a bad mistake.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Ted asks, are the Gators in better shape than Miami? Oh, there's no question. It's not even close. Miami has a losing record, losing to horrible football teams, and nobody goes and watches them play. Our program is clearly in better shape than the Miami Hurricanes. Josh says it all comes down to money, sadly. I don't know from a money standpoint if either school, both schools get paid a lot of money to play the game there. It's all coming down to the recruiting. And I listened to some of Billy's press conference yesterday. Somebody asked him about it. He's never coached in it, but you could. I mean, he even said, "I understand Kirby's point of view from a recruiting standpoint." Now you got to remember, our coach is big into recruiting too now, so he may eventually be in favor of this game going home and home. If it does move, nothing against Jacksonville because I love the game there, but you've heard people talk about, a year in Athens, a year in Gainesville, then in Jacksonville. No, it's either in Gainesville or in Athens if it moves. I don't know why you would even go back to Jacksonville. So, old Florida Gator says here, Jacksonville will lose a lot of money if that happens. Yes, it's a huge weekend or just huge week for the city of Jacksonville and the surrounding area. So we'll see what happens. I don't want it to move, but I feel like it's going to.
There's a comment in there, excuse me for interrupting you, about Oklahoma and Texas. They've got to make the same kind of decision now. They're both in the SEC about, is this game going to be played in Dallas? They're going to go to Norman and play it. They're going to go to Austin. It's a paradigm of college football that we have to deal with here. And the only part I'm saying, Shane, you're a traditionalist. I'm a traditionalist. When you got something that ain't broke, don't try to fix it. You find another way. I mean, look, what is the deal? Is the deal recruiting? Is it because they can recruit play? They're allowed this year to give tickets to players, both schools. All right,
but even that to me is silly because if I'm a high school kid, why do I want to go to a game at a neutral site when that's not even going to be where you're going to school, where you're living or anything?
Shane, you get all kind of visits. You can go back to those sites anytime.
I don't know. I just think it's dumb. I just think it's dumb for recruits to even go to Jacksonville for this game. You can't talk to them.
Well, but you know what? Change the damn rule. The NCAA, the toothless tiger there, they can't even govern the playoffs to get them right when there are billions of dollars sitting there, and they're letting a bunch of 17-year-old kids determine that the game will all be played in Jacksonville. Come on, man. If that's what they want to do, then do it. Don't blame it on recruiting. I mean, like I said earlier, do you think Christmas is interfering with recruiting? Cancel Christmas. I mean, what is sacred anymore in college football? What?
Ain't a whole lot. At least we're still wearing our normal uniforms. That's what I like. Billy says we're wearing our traditional uniforms.
Yeah.
And
what's your favorite, Shane? What were your favorite ones? The combinations? All blue?
Oh no, Lord no! I only wore all blue one time and I hated it. I'm a blue jersey, white pants, and all white. I don't like the orange pants. I don't like the blue pants, but
really?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
because I know some fans like it. I don't, but when these teams so everybody knows I grew up an Ole Miss kid. Okay, my dad played there. My mom was a cheerleader. I think Ole Miss has one of the best uniforms in all of college football. But damn, Lane, you're putting these white helmets and all the white pants and all this stuff. I know it's all for recruiting and for the kids, but they have one of the best uniforms that they keep screwing up. Drives me insane.
How about an all yellow uniform for Ole Miss? Go Oregon. Oh, I don't know. It's just one of those colors. How about an all pink?
Well, Ole Miss ain't yellow, but
I get it. Either are some of the other teams wearing yellow and pink either. It's just what doesn't matter. Like I'm telling you, nothing is sacred in college football.
Well, it's not, but you will never see LSU. Well, LSU has been wearing those white helmets for some reason.
Yeah.
Alabama will never do it. Georgia will never do it, although they did one year. I don't know. Auburn don't do it. I'm a traditionalist. That's what it is. So
I saw a poll yesterday about the best, favorite helmets, top helmets. Florida was 13th. What do you think it was? Now, who do you think was number one?
Alabama or Notre Dame
Nope.
or USC?
Nope.
Texas?
Nope.
Georgia?
Nope.
Tennessee?
Nope.
All right. I'm out of guesses because
Come on.
those are who?
Come on, let's go. Keep going.
Is it SEC?
Nope.
Florida State?
Nope. You're going to die when I tell you.
Yeah.
Ohio State.
Oh, I do like their helmet though. I ain't gonna lie.
But they got all the little Buckeyes all over it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it doesn't start that way. You got to play well to get a Buckeye.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, all right, buddy. Let's go to this game this weekend. You've been covering this game for a long time. I think it's the largest point spread in the history of the game. Is that true?
I don't know if it's the largest ever. It's certainly one of the largest back before they had point spreads, but it certainly would be right up there. I don't ever remember a point spread being 22.5 points. And justifiably so. Maybe I'll be higher considering the matchups, how they go. We're doing a story now and trying to figure out what are Florida's 10 worst third downs, and what are Stetson's best 10 best ones.
That makes me laugh. Not that y'all are doing that, but just think about it. Have in all the years you've been doing this, have you ever done like stories on third and long?
No, I've never even heard of a team making it 3rd and 22. You know?
Oh gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Andy asked, Shane, how many old uniforms do you have in inventory from all your teams you played on? They're all stuffed in it. All my jerseys and all my helmets are in a storage unit. I have every helmet that I had, even my throwback helmets for my teams, my throwback jerseys, all my jerseys. So,
well, I thought I was bad having all my newspaper clippings, which you can't get anymore, and a whole storage unit. But you got everything. You got the whole uniform?
Well, no. Jersey and helmet. Yeah, nobody keeps pants and stuff like that. But I mean, think about it. Most of the teams I played on, not all of them, but they always had an alternate throwback jersey as well, which I kept, and a throwback helmet, which I kept. So,
what about the NFL uniforms?
That's what I'm talking about. I only played on one college team, buddy.
Well, but no, I know that, but I mean, they're combinations.
Oh no, all I have is a blue jersey and a white jersey and an orange helmet for the Gators.
Okay.
My pro teams, I got multiple jerseys and multiple helmets.
What's your favorite pro helmet?
I'm a traditionalist. My favorite uniform is the Bears of the teams I played on.
Really?
Although I will say the Redskins, we had the throwback uniforms, even though we had a spear on the side of our helmets.
You mean the Commanders? You're talking about the Commanders? Yeah. And by the way, mine would be the Rams.
Yeah, well, I didn't play for the Rams.
I knew that. Well, I know, but I'm saying in terms of helmets. I knew the guy who designed that helmet with the horns on it. That's the most unique one, I think.
Yeah. All right, so buddy, when you look at this game, Gators big underdogs. How do you see Florida keeping it close, and can they win this game?
I don't see them keeping it close. And can they win it? I guess they could, because this is Florida Georgia week, and strange things do happen. Halloween. We were talking about it last night. I've seen all kinds of things.
I'm going to ask you. I mean, because I don't know a whole lot about the series other than starting in 1990, pretty much.
Right.
But when people say crazy things can happen, what kind of crazy things have happened in this game?
Well, Dory was on last night in France and everything. We were talking about those strange things of the rain and stepping into a mud puddle and whatever. Well, one of the craziest things.
Was that the Eric Redd game when he ran for 1,000,000 yards?
Yeah.
But it wasn't a close game, was it?
No. Yeah. But I'm talking about weird things now. Now, here's an example to me and I don't have everything in front of me, and I have to give you a time period that would be sometime in the 80s. Florida was playing. Florida was, I think, a slight favorite, winning the game by 2 points. No, winning the game by a point. And late in the game, Georgia went for a field goal. Or excuse me, I'm going to get it right. Georgia scored to pull it within 2 points. All right, and so Bobby Etter was the kicker. And he dropped the ball The Holder dropped the ball. He picked it up and ran it in for a 2-point play in Florida, and Georgia won 11-10. That was one of the craziest. I don't have my facts exactly. You get what I'm talking about. It was just not designed. He picked it up, ran it in for a inadvertent 2-point play, and Florida got beat. The Belue play was certainly the most controversial, heartbreak, whatever. There have been upsets. What I remember from this team in this game is that early on, before Spurrier, it seemed like Vince Dooley had the same plan, because they would play to a draw for the first half, and then Georgia would get the ball and run it down Florida's throat the whole second half. They couldn't stop. Georgia always had a running back they couldn't stop. Coach Spurrier reversed all of that about 12 years, whatever. It's just that things seem to happen, strange things on that weekend. People say it's Halloween, the odds of Halloween. We've had topsy-turvy games, but one time Georgia beat Florida 75-0, as you know, back before I was around. And the most infamous game that I could remember covering was when Ray Graves was the head coach. Now listen to this. Ed Kinsler was the offensive coordinator. Gene Ellison was the defensive coordinator. And Graves decided to swap their jobs the week of the game. He flipped their coordinators. Why, I don't know. Georgia beat Florida 51-0 that day in the rain. And I remember sitting there and watching it, thinking, man, this could be the end of Florida football as we know it, But instead, the opposite thing happened. They got so mad about it, angry about it, and they were going to fire Graves and make him step down. They gave him one more year. They came back, and it was Super Softs came back, and they had that year, and they turned the program around a little bit. But that 51-0 to me game was probably the most infamous game I remember covering because they flopped the coordinators.
Yeah, Scott says in 2014, I remember I think Muschamp was the head coach. We won. We beat them with Treon Harris attempting 6 passes the entire game. We ran for 1 million yards.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were very good back then, though. I think both teams were about the same. Mm-hmm. Scott says from 90 to 2010, we won 18 out of 21. That's 2 decades of dominance. Yeah. All right, we got a text here from Alan in Atlanta on the Titanamar text line. He says, Florida, Georgia, and Jackson is my favorite game. We travel down from Atlanta every year with the family. I sure wish Gators would stop entertaining Kirby's argument. Just say no, we're not interested in moving the game, period. I don't know if it's that easy.
It's not, because if you don't have both teams dancing, you don't have a dance. And if it's that easy to have been done, here's my feeling. Some things you just feel like are wrong. I can't explain it to you. It shouldn't happen. It's wrong. They should not move this game. It should be because, like I told you earlier, don't forget, we're not just changing the game. We're changing a whole week of celebration and a great tradition in the South and a great venue, and we're also changing the dynamics of the rivalry. And every year you get 40,000 people get to go to the game on both sides. When the game's at Florida, Georgia fans can only have 5,000 people. How you like them apples? All of a sudden you can't go. So what are they going to start doing? Staying home and watching on TV, right? Which is what we do now. We stay home and watch it on TV. So why would you want to discourage fans from coming to games? Because they're getting to a point where tickets are so high and it's so difficult to get there, and only the rich can afford to do it, that pretty soon fans are going to say, the hell with it. I'll stay home and watch it on TV. I mean, you don't want that. You want people to come to the games. So to me, it's very short-sighted and selfish to say, let's do it for recruiting. Come on, man. We're better than that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Dan says, as a season ticket holder, I would not be happy if they move the game out of Jacksonville. Yeah, I agree, but I just think it's coming. As bad as I hate.
Shane, who does the game belong to?
The SEC?
No, who's college football? The game of college football.
Oh, it's the fans.
Well, you wouldn't know.
We do silly stuff at our ballpark that we're not allowed to do anymore. That ruin the fans' experience, from the Gator bait chants to the other things. It's just it's crazy.
What do you think of the Gator bait chant being eliminated?
I thought it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah, really. Got a new president now. Maybe we'll bring it back.
Well, I think the fan base should. I mean, that's just part of the mystique of the swamp
Yeah.
when the entire stadium is doing that. So,
yeah. Why? Because somebody had a story that may or may not have been true that nobody can document.
From 300 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, I'm sensitive to all the things that racial. I understand that. I've talked to my black friends about it, and I tell you, say, explain it to me. And while they're not crazy about it, basically, they said if I could change it, I would. But would they stop being a Gator fan? No. I don't know. And look, it's a conflict of interest. People think it's because my company's called Gator Bait. That's not the reason. Since I started coming to games, Shane, way back in the day when Rick Caceres was playing, Gator Bait, hollering Gator Bait was always a tradition as a team came on the field. And I never one time heard, read, saw anything about this story that's out there now. And the president of the university pulls the plug on it because there's this one story written. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree. It really bothers me. That kind of stuff bothers me. The Pride of the Sunshine Band is no longer allowed to play Gator Bait, but the fans certainly can chant it, and I say we should. Well, the bands are part. That's what I was talking about during the LSU week. LSU's got a phenomenal band. They got I don't know what all those chants, the bom bom bom. I mean, that's what college football is all about.
Hold that tiger, Shane.
Well, the song is Hold That Tiger. I'm talking about the little. Oh, yeah, I guess it is. It's part of it. But I just that's what makes the stadium. The people in the stadium it just brings the environment, and I think they do need to protest or whatever the hell the fan base needs to do to try to get it back with a new president.
Why don't you lead the way?
No, I better not do that, buddy. I'll let other people. I'll support it, but I don't want to be the head of this protest. Why don't you do it?
I'm already on record, and I've even considered changing my company.
Well, we should get to be the leader is Lawrence Wright, black man who loves to say Gator Bait. How about that?
Yeah, I know he's on record as saying that had nothing to do with anything, but these political things that happen sometimes, I just don't get them. Whatever. I'm sorry. I agree with Coach Spurrier. He did it the right way when he went to Columbia, when they had the Confederate flag. And, I was born in the South, and I know the history of the Civil War, and I understand both sides, whatever. He just did that, looked at that flag over there, and he said, that's wrong over the State House. You can't do that. I get that. I understand it. Okay, I'm fine with that. But now how far are we going to go with this? We've gone, in my mind, almost too far already.
Yeah, Andy says the outlaw move back, you suck after penalties years ago as well. Yeah, I don't know when they started that. That was not around when I played.
I don't either.
But, they need to bring that back too. Dan says, what about all those document deaths by tigers? Ban the tigers. Yeah, if people really want to look into it, we wouldn't have any nicknames anywhere. All right, buddy, before we let you go, we talked about you don't think the game's going to be close. Anything can happen. But I want to get your thoughts on the World Series because we won't talk to you.
All right. Maybe and can I give you my Mendoza teams after you get through? Yeah, go ahead.
Who you got in the World Series?
I'm going to take Houston. I mean, the Phillies are a great story. They fired their manager, and here they are back. And what a moment they had the other night with the walk-off with the home run. They got the best player in baseball, obviously. They're playing out of their minds. But I tell you, that Astros pitching staff is phenomenal. They are phenomenal. So I'm going to go with the Astros in 5.
Yeah, the Astros. I mean, I think they've been to the World Series 4 of the last 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we know one year they cheated, but Dusty Baker. I want to see Dusty Baker. I don't know Dusty Baker. Obviously, I grew up, I had 1 million Dusty Baker baseball cards.
Did you?
I think did he win one as a player, but I know he has not won one as a manager. So I'd like to see Dusty Baker.
That's a great question. I'll look it up on my show tonight and find out, but I don't know the answer to that. And I would like to see Dusty Baker as well. By the way, that's one of my old teams, the Astros. When I was working down in Cocoa, they trained there. And I spent a lot of time with those players back in those days. And I was even invited to the All-Star game, played in the Astrodome. You say it sounds funny and old. It was the first year of it. It was phenomenal. I went and I saw Willie Mays steal home. I saw rookie Tom Seaver strike out Mickey Mantle with the bases loaded. It was at the Astrodome. And I had a close relationship with the general manager. So the Astros were my team back then when they were in the National League. But that's not why I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win because they got a better club and they've done a phenomenal. Dusty's done a phenomenal man. And to the bullpen, these guys are masters from things like the bullpen. So we'll see. I admire the guts of the Phillies, but I think it's going to be the Astros. Here are the teams on or below the Mendoza line in football in the SEC. All right, these are the teams. If the Mendoza line, let's just say it's 25. Let's say it's below 500, right? Probably at 500, because in baseball it's 200. The average baseball of this year average was 250. That's the mean average. So you're applying the same kind of principles, sort of, to SEC football. The teams that are on or below the Mendoza line: Florida, Vandy, SEC, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Suddenly, all of a sudden, Missouri.
They're 5-3 though, buddy.
I know, but they're looking down the road. They're going to be a 500. Oh. They're going to be, and Auburn, certainly, and Missouri. So you could take Mississippi State out there if you want to. I'm projecting where they're going to wind up. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, half a league on the Mendoza line.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We got to let you go. Buck Belue's waiting patiently on the Titan More hotline. Appreciate you joining the program. Have a great week, and we'll recap it all next week.
Thank you, Shane.
That's Buddy Martin. You can check him out Monday through Friday on the Buddy Martin Show. We're going to take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Georgia quarterback Buck Belue. You're watching and listening to Pod Up Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like the Keys Bar and Grill, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Le Macaron, the Gadget Guys, and the HBC's restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now selling his head beer coach American Lager, where you can get it at Spurrier's, Visors, or at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. And ahead of the Titan More hotline, we're going to head up I-75 to Atlanta, Georgia. And we're joined by Buck Belue. Good morning, Buck. How are you, my man?
Shane, doing well, man.
You had any of that head beer coach from Spurrier yet?
I tell you, I miss seeing Coach. I only get to see him on the 4th of July these days. And, I just so appreciate he didn't pick on me this year about Georgia for the first time, I guess because they won that national championship last year.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But let's talk about that national championship. They're defending national champs, still undefeated. Do you think they are as good as they were last year?
Yeah, I'm just stunned that they've been able to replace what they lost on defense. As you know, 5 first-round picks over there on the defensive side of the ball. And I tell you what, their coaching staff on the defensive side is as good as there is in college football. With Kirby's got a hand in it, obviously. Glenn Schumann is really one of those under-the-radar coaches that has done a great job. Will Muschamp, as you know, is a part of the planning as a coach of the safeties, and it's pretty impressive the way they've coached these young guys up on the defensive side of the ball. But look, this is a tough stretch coming up, starting with Saturday. Can't imagine they would take Florida lightly. And then you got Tennessee next week, which everybody's talking about right now up here. Kentucky, a trip to Mississippi State, dealing with the Cowbells. I mean, Georgia better be ready to play their best football.
Yes, there's no question about that. When you look at the defense, we'll start with the defense. Did I read it correctly that Georgia is one of the last in the conference in having sacks? Now, I have a hard time believing that because I know they can pressure the quarterback. Are they just not getting to the quarterback, Buck?
Well, Shane, they're rushing. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're rushing 3, 4 guys, I would say 80% of the time. I mean, they're playing a lot of conservative deep zone. You see 2 safeties a lot. You see a lot of combination zone coverage. They're just not putting their defensive backs in these precarious situations, playing man coverage. And I'm not sure if that's going to stay the same too, because as I mentioned, the competition level's going up, and they're going to be facing some of the top quarterbacks in college football in the coming weeks. So I'm not sure they can continue to do that. I'm not sure if they've held back some of this scheming up pressure, just waiting on the second half of the season to show up. But they played a lot of conservative zone, rushing 3 and 4 guys. So, I think that's the explanation on why they've got 7 sacks so far.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're very solid defensively. Just don't give up the big play is kind of what they're doing right now. John's got a question for you, Buck, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. He says, Buck, were you surprised that Stetson came back this year? Have the Georgia fans been as critical of him this year as they were last year?
No, I'm not surprised. Look, there's looking ahead to the NFL. I mean, it's probably a real stretch to think he's going to end up being an NFL quarterback with his stature. So, this is really his only opportunity to play the game that he loves, is to come back and play one more year. And in the previous years, as he's not been the guy the entire season. So look, he's the captain of the team. He's getting every single rep and every single snap, which he hadn't had a chance to get leading into the season. So because of those things, I'm not surprised at all.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A few more minutes with Buck Belue. Couple questions for you here, Buck. Todd says he was in the stadium in Jacksonville when Belue hit Scott in 1980. Was that play what was that play called, and was it executed correctly?
Well, the play was called left 76. And it was a staple route. Shane, everybody ran it. You got the tight end on a short underneath drag route. You've got the one receiver running a post, the other receiver on the other side of the field, which was Lindsey, running the dig route, a deep crossing route. And then, Herschel would be a check down coming out of the backfield, a little delay route. So, that we ran it 1,000 times, but, that particular play, I had to predetermine that the ball had to go to Lindsey Scott in that situation. He was our big play man. He was the guy that could make a big play happen. We were desperate. We needed it right then and there. So I had predetermined that somehow, some way, I had to get 24 of the ball. And, the strange thing about that, Shane, is we had never discussed that, Lindsey, if you ever see me point at you, that means I want you to sit down in the zone, the hole in the zone. And, that's what happened. had David Little, awesome linebacker that was between me and Lindsey. So I pointed at Lindsey, hoping he would sit down, and that's what he did. And Little kept drifting and opened up an avenue to get Lindsey the football.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest plays in college football history. There's no question about that. Got a text on the Titan Mar text line from Jimmy up in Lake Oconee. Some good golf courses up there. He says, Buck, we want your thoughts on the cocktail party possibly moving to home and home. What do you think about that, Buck?
Well, I've come around to Kirby's way of thinking, and it's happened, over the last 12 months. I was one that really, I still love the rivalry in Jacksonville, but what Georgia's given up, I think, is, if you truly are invested in winning big, then they need that Florida game in Athens every other year, because every five-star recruit Georgia's going after would want to be at that game. And right now is a setup. Kirby can leave some tickets at the will call, but they're not allowed to talk to anybody. So I think the recruiting impact is big. And look, I know it's all about the money, but I'm going to sit here and say that Georgia wouldn't be hurt by losing $3 million every 2 years by not having the game down there. And, it just seems like to me, this younger generation, they don't really care about going to Jacksonville and playing golf and hanging out on the beach. They'd rather just stay home.
Yeah, that is a good point there. I want to get your thoughts on Brock Bowers. Just a phenomenal athlete. Is he one of the best? I mean, he's probably the best tight end that Georgia's ever had because he can do so many things. Just talk about him as a football player.
Well, they've had a real problem at the ex-wide receiver spot. Mitchell continues to be dinged up. He was their go-to guy at X last year and made a lot of big plays. And, they continue to be really thin at that position. I'm surprised they've not flexed him out and taken advantage of the teams that want to come after him and play blitz and bump the ex-receiver out wide, to take advantage of that opportunity of getting him the football. But he's phenomenal. The hands are great. He's a tremendous athlete. And, I'm not surprised anymore when he gets in the open field and he's outrunning these defensive backs. In the beginning, it was sort of a wow thing. You go, oh, my goodness, did you see him outrun that defensive back? But nobody's surprised anymore. I'm a little disappointed they don't target him more than they do. But, again, maybe this is something that Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, is doing, knowing the stretch was going to be the toughest part of the season. They've held some of those things back.
Two more questions for you, Buck, and we'll get you out of here. This is from Bobby. He says, the quarterback room at Georgia has a bunch of 5-stars. I know y'all lost out on Arch Manning, but do you think you can still make a run at Arch Manning?
Well, because Texas is struggling right now.
I guess. I don't know. But, just because kids are committed, that means nothing these days.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I know Kirby. Kirby's not – I'm sure they're going to continue to contact him and recruit him. And that's just the nature of the game these days. So, yeah, I think they'll continue to knock on his door and hope something changes. But, they're in pretty good shape, Shane. I'll tell you what, I really like the backup, Carson Beck from Jacksonville. He's the best passer in that quarterback room. He's got the biggest arm. He's mobile, and I think now more than ever he's ready to step in if something happened to Stetson and take over. And he's going to be the quarterback next season as we sit here today. And I tell you what, he can flat spin that football. So, I think they're in pretty good shape moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. Last thing for you, how you see this game playing out on Saturday? Obviously, the Gators are a huge underdog, struggling. What do you see happening over in Jacksonville?
Well, I see the Gators giving Georgia their best shot. I just recall last year's game. What was it? It was almost a scoreless game until right before halftime. It sort of fell apart. for the Gators really quickly there. So I'm expecting a hard-fought, close game.
Yeah, I agree. But I think Georgia will win it easily when it's all said and done. All right,
The wild card, I think, is Anthony.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the wild card's Anthony Richardson. It just sort of depends on how he plays.
Yeah, you never know there. Let everybody know how they can listen to your program up in the Atlanta area.
Well, I'm at 680 The Fan in Atlanta. This is my 21st year. And right now, doing the Buck Belue show from 10 to 11, Monday through Friday. 680thefan.com. We're streaming there. And then also you can get the Fan app and listen anytime, anywhere.
We appreciate your time, my man. We'll see you this weekend, and we'll talk to you soon, Buck.
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yep, that's Buck Belue, great quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a final time out, come back, answer a lot of your questions via text and on Facebook Live. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. I want to thank Buck Belue for joining us on the Titan More Hotline, as well as Buddy Martin. Tomorrow's program will have JC and Mike Morgan from ESPN. This Day in Sports, which is brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat. Schedule your air conditioners tune up today, keeping you chill and the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Give them a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports in 2005, the longest World Series game, 14 innings, 5 hours and 41 minutes. The White Sox beat the Houston Astros 7-5 in Game 3 at Minute Maid Park. That's This Day in Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Let's see. Andy says, Shane, what's your take on the two referees that badgered Mike Evans for autographs after the Bucs game Sunday? I guess one was an A&M alum, but that was bowl. I did not hear about that, Andy. I don't know if that's legal or illegal. Wow, I didn't hear anything about that. I got a text on the Titan No More text line. This is from Will. Will says, Shane, what were your thoughts on the Bears last night with the big win over the Patriots? I'll be honest with you. I saw probably half a quarter. I had a lot of stuff going on. And all I saw was Justin Fields running everywhere. I don't know what his stats were, but it seems like they had a lot of quarterback sweeps, quarterback powers, and he scrambled all night long. I don't know how he threw the ball. I saw where Bailey Zappi, I don't know if Mac Jones was benched or he got hurt again or what. So maybe y'all can fill me in on that. This week's crazy for me. The Georgia week is always very, very busy. John says the A&M official that asked for the autographs raising money for Jimbo's buyout. Boy, they lose to Ole Miss. I don't think they'll lose to Ole Miss, but if they do, that will be rough. So anyway, so tomorrow we have Mike Morgan and JC. Thursday again, Brent Beard. Supposed to have Aaron Murray later in the week. We're trying to coordinate it. All-time leading passer in the SEC history. Now works for ESPN. John says Mac Jones got benched. Okay. I don't know how Bailey Zappi played. They lost the game. So maybe we got a quarterback controversy in New England. I want to see if there's any college. No college football. Oh, there is no college football this Wednesday. So Thursday night, we got Louisiana and Southern Miss, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, and Utah, Washington State. So anyway, Andy says, Fields ran for 84 yards. Zappi came in on third series after Mac Jones was ineffective. Okay, appreciate that. Wish I could have watched the game. I probably would have watched the Manning cast anyway. They're outstanding. One of my favorite things to do on Monday night when I'm not doing Buddy's show or after Buddy's show is listen to the Mannings. They are hilarious to me. Got a text here on the Titan MR text line. Sharon says, Shane, what are your thoughts on the game movie from Jacksonville? And do you think we have a chance this week? Well, I do not want the game to move. I love traditions in college football, but I have a feeling it's going to be moved home to home. I won't like it, but we'll have to deal with it. And then do I think we have a chance this week? No. I think Georgia is very good, very, very good. But we'll see. We'll see. It's always a great atmosphere over there. I'm looking forward to it and get to see some of my Georgia friends and fans, and Gator fans will be in full force as well. Greg says the Pats coach said the QB rotation was planned. Interesting. I don't know why you would do that. Dan says President Obama was on the Manning cast. He was a good guest. Okay. Yeah, they do a great job on that show. And now, Pat McAfee, who's on Game Day now, does his own little whatever that show for the Saturday night ESPN primetime game. And I think Peyton's company runs that deal as well. So anyway, hope everyone enjoyed today's program. Have a great day, folks. It's Georgia week. Should be a lot of fun, regardless of the outcome. Make sure you tell your friends and family to follow our programs and join us tomorrow. Take care, everyone.